Hi, we're here with Þorbjörgu Ágústsdóttur. She's a geophysicist with Cambridge University who's been working on her PhD thesis out beside the eruption on Holdray and near the volcano Barbunga. And I just want to thank you for doing an interview with us today. And before we get into the nitty-gritty details about the eruption, could you just give us a little information about yourself?
Yes, my name is Þorbjörg and I started my PhD last year in Cambridge, and I was supposed to work on the seismicity in Vatnajökull. And then Cambridge has been having an array in the volcano next to Barbunga, and has been expanding that array since 2006, so it's surrounding all of Vatnajökull. And since the dike propagation started, we have been expanding our network closer to the dike, and so we were there servicing our seismic network when the first eruption started in Holdray. So we were actually the first people on site to verify that there was actually an eruption going on. So that was pretty exciting.
What's been amazing to me, and everyone who's been following this, is the incredible amount of seismic activity that's been following all this.
Incredible.
Both the low-level quakes from the dike that have since subsided, and also the high and really powerful quakes in Barbunga. And this is totally unprecedented, isn't it?
Yeah, it's incredible. I mean, this is the largest caldera in Iceland, and this has never been monitored, anything like this, and we have never known for such an event to happen. So this is really,
So when the earthquake swarm began, we noticed there was a lot of activity in the beginning near Kistefell. And then that sort of died out. Was that another dike formation that sort of died, or was that just stress? What was the cause of that?
So I think they don't really know yet. So because the dike was trying to find its way, and we have always had persistent seismicity in Kistefell. So it might be that the intruding dike was just affecting the stress field of Kistefell, and therefore inducing the seismicity in that area. But then it found itself a weakness
to the southeast.
Yeah, and then to the north after that.
Now, why do you think it went to the southeast? Because traditionally the rifts run southwest to northeast in the area. So why was that jump in the direction of Greenfoot?
I don't know. You can't tell, but the only link is that when Gulf eruption was in 1996, there was seismicity in Barbunga prior to that eruption.
Now, is there potential disconnected with the Greenfoot system?
We don't think so, but it might be possible since this event is so big, and so we have to rethink all our definitions. But it might be that the system in this very active area, Grímsvötn, Barbunga, Askja, Tungnafellsjökull, all the volcanic system there, they might be more connected than what we think.
Yeah. Were you involved in sampling, or is that? So
we're in geophysics, we're studying the seismicity.
Just the seismicity.
But since we were the first people in place, we took the first sample from the tiny eruption because there was no one else there. So we collected the samples, which were then escorted with the police to Reykjavik to be analyzed.
Okay. So they're saying that this is low magnesium, which tends to indicate that the magma was sitting for a while and separating out. The olivine crystals were separating out before it erupted, which indicate this has been for at some period at shallower depth before erupting. So do you think that does that rule out the chance that this was sort of a deep source magma? Can we pretty much conclusively say that this is from Barbunga's magma chamber?
We can't
That's not
tell.
your field?
No, I mean, because we don't really know. These are all speculations based on our observations. So that's what we think. But it's probably, I mean, this magma has been sitting there for a while in a shallower / quite deep, because the earthquake was at 10 kilometers. Yeah. So I haven't heard the numbers for they put on the magma chamber, but there seems to be a steady inflow into the dike. Yeah. So they can also see from the GPS measurements that it seems to be steady. So we don't know if the reservoir is just emptying itself, or if it's constant influx of refilling from below. That could very well be the case. So
now we're seeing a substance. Do you think that rules out that these quakes are from the bottom of the chamber? Is this actually the top of the chamber collapsing downward? Is that pretty much conclusive now?
So I think what the idea is now is that it's coming from the rim. So you have a plug. And the earthquakes are all on the margin.
A plug above the chamber.
Yeah. Yeah. So if you would have a chamber, which we don't know the depth to, and then there's a plug moving, and it's sinking downwards basically. And I think it might be sinking into the magma chamber.
But these
They might
quakes
be
are coming
pushing-
at nearly 10 kilometers. I mean, I've seen 8, 9s. Does that mean that the chamber's at least 10 kilometers
Yeah, it
deep?
might be. You see that the earthquake is located so deep, and it might be that the magma chamber is much deeper because we have no evidence of a shallow magma chamber in Bárðarbunga like we have in Krafla or Grímsvötn. So it might be very well that this volcano is totally different from the other ones with a much deeper magma chamber.
So now we've got the eruption of Húlraun. There's been a notable drop in the earthquake activity in the dike, and also in the Askja system. There was a lot of, I was talking to someone else who was saying that the reason we're seeing all this action in the Askja system is there's so much pressure being induced by the dike in the area. Now that that's subsided, can we pretty much rule out the likelihood of an eruption in the Askja system as well at this point, or is that is that walking too far?
That's maybe taking it too far. I mean, now the activity is at Húlraun and the dike stopped to propagate, which is important. It's not getting any closer to Askja, but all the failures we saw in Askja and the fault activity, everything was ready to fail, was failing.
Especially in the Herbruntur. Is that like an active system? Is that?
Yeah, Cambridge has been measuring earthquakes there for quite a while.
So is there a magma chamber?
No, this is just tectonics.
Just stress, just tectonics.
Because of the rifting.
Yeah.
Yeah, so only tectonic stress.
Ice cauldrons? Is that the proper term?
Yeah.
Okay, I've been looking for a term for a long time.
Ice cauldrons.
That have been forming on the glaciers. Is that, can we be pretty sure there have been some small subglacial eruptions, or is there another explanation for that?
They think now that the small cauldrons are on Jökull.
Yeah, there are also a couple near Bárðarbunga.
Yeah, so they think that all of those are interpreted now as tiny eruptions.
Yeah.
So they're barely reaching the surface, and this is not very large volumes, so they're just very small bursts, maybe like the burst we saw in the beginning.
So what happened to the meltwater?
So that's the big discussion what happens to the meltwater, but this is not that much water, so it could potentially go into the groundwater system without us noticing it.
So it's potentially just in the groundwater.
It could be going to the groundwater.
You were there for both stages, both the little ones at the beginning and the larger ones.
Yeah.
So how big has that gotten so far?
It was pretty big. You can still see the fire fountain when we were there, and the lava from going quite fast. But it hadn't reached to Valhalla like this.
And now we're talking about the potential that could potentially even dam Jökulsá.
Yeah.
Is that a realistic possibility?
It is a realistic possibility.
So there would be a new lake forming in the area.
The water has to flow somewhere.
Yeah.
This is a glacial river, so it maybe won't fall. It will just find another pathway.
Yeah.
So maybe just go further to the east before it breaks down the lava after some years.
About the gas emissions. Everyone's been asked, I actually didn't believe the meters when I first saw that there are nearly 2,600 micrograms per cubic meter, which is, let's look at,
a lot,
and I mean, how long is this event expected to continue? I know no one knows the answer, but I've seen, could it be anywhere in the range of weeks, months, years?
I mean, it could stop tomorrow. It can also continue for a year.
Yeah.
We had the Krafla fires that were Krafla fire rifting event was ongoing for 10 years. Then we had about 7 eruption episodes. But this eruption now is already larger than the largest Krafla fire.
Yeah.
So we don't know. We just have to monitor this very closely.
Do you know anything about tephra in the plume? Is there at this
What
point?
I have seen is very little tephra, and what they're reporting in Hafnarstad, I haven't really heard of it, but I think there might be sand, because this is a very dusty area, so
I
it
think it's more likely to be
can
sun.
be sucked up also into the plume, or some sand from the area. But closest to the eruption vents, there's always a little bit fallout. There's pellets here that's falling out.
Yeah.
There is some tiny little bits of tephra and vikur, the pumice that's falling out. But it's not very much, since it's an effusive eruption. But closest to the vent there is a little bit.
So about the lava flow, we were getting some reports the other day. First I saw some reports that there were potential pseudocrater eruptions detected. But then since I've seen reports saying there have been no explosive activity. So can you clear that up? Has there been potential pseudocrater formation explosions, or has there not been?
I don't think they have had any pseudocrater formation.
Okay, so the first report was probably erroneous. They were saying there was potential activity detected.
Yeah, they might just have been something else.
Okay.
So we think there was no pseudoplate formation.
Because that's a rare event, that isn't
Yeah.
it?
Well,
Of course, everyone's talking about the potential. The biggest threat, at least to Iceland, seems to be the Jökulhlaup.
yes.
Now, historically, Bárðarbunga is believed to have been the source for the ones that formed Jökulsárgljúfur, Ásbergi, those major historic floods. Are those sorts of floods even possible at this point? These, catastrophic scale, or is that something that's no longer possible from the system? Or do we not know?
We do not know.
We don't know.
No, we do not know.
Okay.
So I can't really comment on it.
Okay.
Because they're so
This is
big
just
events.
unprecedented.
Yeah. They have happened, but it was possibly a large ice sheet
Yeah.
over the area at that time. When
Several thousand years ago.
Yeah. So it's likely that we will not have events of that scale.
And there was
It can
some
still
talk
be big.
about the caldera could subside for 100 meters, they're saying. We don't know the extent of
Yeah, no,
the
we
depth.
don't know. We have examples from the Galapagos and also from Askja that we have subsidence of 100 to 300 meters.
So that's potential for a lot of water being stored in there, isn't that? If that's...
Yeah, I don't know if water is going to be stored. It's probably going to go somewhere.
Yeah.
So
And we don't know which direction is likely at this point. Is that correct?
I mean, this is just such a big event. This is in the water drainage area of Jökulsárfjöllum.
Yeah.
But I mean, if there is a lot of water and it needs to flow somewhere, then it will just flow wherever it finds its pathway.
Because Dingia, the threat was pretty much north, but here it could
Yeah.
go west, it could go north, it could go south.
Yeah, where the
Is there any threat to the dams? Or do we not? Again, is that something we don't know?
so they have built them so they would potentially support like a subglacial flood. But it
What
just-
size flood?
I do not know,
You don't know.
but they have engineered in that way. So it could be take more water than in a normal year.
Well, I hope.
So what they have been doing is that they're monitoring all their dams to see if there's more water coming in
Yeah.
to try to help the civil defense and the IMO and the Institute of Earth Science to just understand what's going on. Because
I guess the last thing, which is just what are the potential ash or pumice fall consequences of a large Bárðarbunga eruption?
it depends all on the scale.
Depends on the scale.
And how long it is.
It's just an unknown.
Yeah. It's an unknown factor for how long it goes on, and how big it is, how vigorous, and how explosive.
What do you? I know no one knows the answers, but what do you personally feel is the most likely progression of events from here? Are you just no clue?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm just hoping it will stop before Bárðarbunga does something.
I think we all are.
Yeah, I think that would be the best. I mean, the eruption in Hólmsheiði might go on for a little while, but
Yeah.
I hope really sincerely we won't have a Jökulhlaup and that Bárðarbunga will just stop moving. Even if I'm very interested in this scientifically, then it's too big of a volcano, too close to people to be. Yeah.
Well, Þorbjörgu Ágústsdóttur, thanks for meeting with us.
Thank you.
Great talking to you.